Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to this edition of Creating the Future with me, Dr. Brent Simpson, where we dive into stories and truths and deep questions that help us shape our faith, our family, and of course, our future. Now, today we are still in the summer series where we are interviewing our pastors here at Arise so that you can get to know them a little bit better. And today we have Pastor Danny.
Come on, let's
now,
go.
Here's the first question as we start, Pastor Danny. How do you say your last name?
Izquierdo. You gotta make sure you get that R roll in there.
See, that's why I don't say it. I just say Izquierdo.
Yeah, Izquierdo. I used to hear a lot of nicknames growing up. Some of them I can't say on here, but yeah, Izquierdo is usually what I got a lot of times.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
So we're really excited because Pastor Danny is the youth pastor at our Brandon location, and we're excited to get to know you a little bit so you get to talk to our church, let them get to know you, your story a little bit. But let's start out with a fun question right off the bat.
Okay.
Favorite candy of all time? You're a youth pastor, so favorite candy. If you one candy, you're gonna eat the rest of your life. Favorite candy of all time.
Okay, so like specifically candy, like I can't go like chocolate route, or can I go that route?
I'll let you go chocolate route.
Okay,
I
cool.
call that candy.
Okay, I'm gonna say Nutella. Okay. Like the jars of Nutella.
Okay.
I could tear up a jar like probably in one sitting, which is really bad. And my mom used to tell me that she used to eat it when she was pregnant with me. So like I wonder if that's why I like it so much. But yeah, Nutella, I can put in ice cream, anything, but that's my go-to. Just
Nutella is legit.
A spoonful right away. Yep.
Yeah, so good. All right, let's dive into kind of your upbringing, all that. So where did you grow up? What was your childhood like? Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're Venezuelan. Were you born in Venezuela?
I was not born in Venezuela.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
So tell us the story. Tell me about your childhood.
For sure. So it's funny. Probably people wouldn't expect this. I was born in Tennessee.
Okay.
Knoxville, Tennessee. I lived there for probably 4 years. My parents got divorced when I was like 2 or 3 years old. We then moved to Atlanta. So I was right outside of Atlanta, like 20 minutes out in the suburbs, and lived there for most of my elementary time. Yeah. And then I moved to Florida, specifically Ruskin, Florida, when I was 8 years old. So most of my childhood was here in Florida. And growing up, so I grew up with two half brothers, with a stepdad. So growing up, it was fun. I always liked having younger brothers, but I always felt kind of like the outcast. I always felt kind of like the black sheep. I loved my family. I loved my stepdad. I loved my mom, but I just always felt like I wasn't really a part of the family.
Right.
So growing up, I struggled a lot with, having, like I said, a broken home, broken parenthood. And there was a lot of natural insecurities of not having my dad in my life. And growing up, playing sports, specifically baseball, that was kind of my outlet.
Yeah.
Where a lot of my coaches were my father figures.
Yeah.
So growing up, I was a fun child. You see me on Wednesdays and Sundays still. I'm always high energy. I've always been like that. Yeah. But deep down inside, I always had like that natural insecurity of like, I never felt like I was truly loved. So there was a lot of people pleasing from a young age, that I was trying to put myself out there, always be the class clown in school, always be like the cool guy. And really what it was just a natural insecurity that I feel like, if I get love from people, then maybe I'll feel satisfied, So that was a lot of my childhood. It was figuring out who I really was. You know?
So. Yeah, I think a lot of us can relate to that. That's good. If we saw you as a teenager, if we see teenage Danny, what were you like as a teenager?
Okay, teenage Danny was crazy. Teenage Danny was fun. Like I said, blending it in with a little bit of what I just said. I was always the athlete, hanging out with people. I was a party guy. I wasn't really into drugs and stuff like that, but I was always going to some sort of party every weekend. In high school specifically, that's where I started to distance myself a lot from my family. So I was kind of, I want to say rebellious, but it wasn't that I was disrespectful to my parents or anything like that.
Right.
But I was rebellious in the nature of I didn't want to spend a lot of quality time with them. So I found myself always figuring out whose house to sleep over. But a lot of time I was just fun. I was a class clown. I was always cracking jokes. I didn't take anything serious. It was funny. I was always in the honor classes, but I was the dumb guy in the honor classes. So I was always with the smart kids, but I was the dumbest one in the smart kid group.
Okay.
And I think it wasn't that I wasn't good at school. I just was trying so hard to be somebody I really wasn't. But other than that, I just your usual athlete, varsity player, hanging out. You could say popular at the time, but like I said, inwardly, a lot of natural insecurities that I had. Yeah.
What school were you at?
I was at Leonard High School.
Leonard High School.
Ruskin, yep.
All right, in Ruskin. So, you're from this area basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Raised in this area. Now, I'm just curious because you mentioned baseball a couple times right there. We know Pastor Josh Jordan was a great baseball player. Actually went to baseball. to college to play baseball at one point. So you're a baseball player too. What position did you play?
In high school, I was the utility player. So I was the only guy on our varsity team that played all 9 positions, but
cool.
I landed on as a right fielder. I had the arm. I think in one game, I threw out 3 people from home at home in third base. So I was a fast guy that just had a strong arm. So they stuck me in right field. Yep.
Yeah, I remember people always saying that about you before, that you were fast.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you were fast.
Yeah, I was fast.
Are fast. Are you still
No,
fast?
I'm fat now. So I'm not as fast, but yes, I was really fast.
Yeah.
Kind of like that random, like you would see me and like maybe not assume I was an athlete, but I just had natural abilities to be athletic and agile and stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right, I see that. All right, how did you give your life to Christ? How did you get saved?
Yeah, I mean, that's a long story, but my mom began following the Lord when I was about 12. So the idea of the Lord and who he was in our home, but like I said, I was naturally pivoting from that middle school, high school age, so I was already becoming more rebellious. So I did a lot of the fake sleeping ins on Sundays when my mom would knock on my door. I was awake. I promise you I was awake. Mom, I was awake. But I was acting like I was asleep for church.
Right.
So eventually after I graduated, I got to just hang out with the wrong people, got a lot into drugs, using drugs, selling drugs, and I found myself just really never home. But inwardly, a lot of those battles I had as a child are now like consuming me. Those insecurities, the fear, now you blend that in with drug abuse, and man, I was gone. I was just completely lost, did not know who I was. And I had, to summarize it, I had one radical experience in my home where I woke up one morning. I just remember waking up, sitting on my bed, and like flat out just using this word of like, I'm dead. Like I'm just dead inside. And I remember telling my mom like, hey, you need to call somebody, pastor, priest, Trump. I don't know who you need to call. Call somebody that has the power to change my life. Like, and she called a Spanish pastor. Never met him in my life. He didn't even speak English. And he just, the moment he walked into the house, the demons inside of me knew that something was about to change. And I was super uncomfortable. But the moment this man laid hands on me and started praying, what felt like hours was really like 30 minutes of just ministry and me crying on the floor.
That's awesome.
And that day, I remember getting up from that moment, and the sky was clear, like the colors were popping. Like, at the time I didn't know, but looking back, I was born again. Like I was born again in that moment. So it was a really radical conversion, not as common as you see. It wasn't a church service. It wasn't a raise my hand at the altar moment. It was the Lord and meeting me exactly where I was at.
That's so good. That's so good. Now, you just mentioned this, but just for clarity for our audience and people to get to know you, you speak Spanish.
I do speak Spanish.
Yeah, you don't want to preach in Spanish. You're not that comfortable.
No, not
but
that
you
comfortable.
do speak Spanish.
Yeah, I can talk to a grandma at her church. Like I talk to a Spanish grandma in Spanish and hold a conversation. But I'm not as fluent. I was a lot more fluent when I was younger, because I would go to Venezuela every single summer. But I haven't gone in probably like 12 years. So naturally, just throughout time, I lost my Spanish a bit, but I still have it.
Okay. Sure. All right. So what was your call to ministry? How did you feel called into full-time vocational ministry?
Yeah, this is funny because I was just having a conversation with a student who's exactly where I was when I was around his age. And about 20, 21 years old, I was here coming out of Rise. I was serving at a high level in our youth ministry. And one day, you know the story, Pastor Danny, because we talked about this. You just walked off the stage after preaching. I don't even know if you remember this. You looked at me and my wife now, but fiance at the time, Daisy, and you said, hey guys, I want y'all to do young adults. Don't pray about it. Just come meet me in the meeting next week. And I'm like, what?
Did I say don't pray about it?
No, you said actually when you hired me. No, when you hired me, you did say that though. When you hired me. You said, hey, no. There you're like, hey, no, pray about it. Come talk to me. So we had a meeting with you. We did young adults for about 2 years. And at the time, I was an ASOM. I was doing things of, taking directions in a certain way, but I wasn't going to ASOM or saying yes to young adults because I felt a call to ministry. I was just trying to be obedient. There was an opportunity, and I just wanted to say yes. But in the middle of young adults and studying, I just kind of had an epiphany where I'm like, I think God wants me to do this. So there wasn't like this drastic like camp experience that I had or nothing like that. It was just, I was already saying yes to God, and he just kind of told me in the moment, like, hey, this is what I want you to do. So from that day on, I just kept saying yes, and that's kind of where I'm at now, It wasn't like this grand thing. It was just kept saying yes to the Lord.
I love your story of getting in ministry. Just because you just came here, you started serving. Well, first of all, even before we say that, you do have a funny, legendary story of how you found Arise.
I do.
And now that Pastor Mike's back with us, just tell that story real fast.
So I love music. So I have subwoofers in my car. I still to to this day I do. And one day I was delivering pizza, and that day I was listening to Elevation. I didn't want to turn the music down. I really didn't care. So I'm like blasting music in this nice neighborhood.
So it was worship music.
It was worship music. Yeah, it was worship music. It was nice. It was blasting it in the neighborhood. I knock on the guy's door. Pastor Mike opens the door. He has no shirt on. And I still think he was wearing boxers. He says he was wearing shorts. And if there were shorts, they were just too short. Okay? But he pretty much had no clothes on. And he's like, bro, are you listening to worship music right now? And I'm like, yeah, I am. He closes the door in my face, goes, put on clothes, comes back out, and he gives me like a touch card. He says, hey, it was a Thursday. I remember this. Yeah. He says, this Sunday, we're planting our South Shore location. He invites me. I fell in love with it. I got plugged in. Obviously, and you know this, Pastor Brent, South Shore is in Sun City specifically. It's a lot of retirement. So I was like, okay, there's a lot of white hair here. I need to be around some younger people. So I came to Brandon. That's where I got plugged in and started serving with Kieran and youth. So yeah, that's the famous story of how I got invited to Arise. So.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so you end up at Arise, and basically I kind of thrust you guys into young adult ministry because you could clearly see a gifting on you. And I love this about you guys because it wasn't like you were fighting for a position. It wasn't like you wanted a title. You were just serving. Yeah. And it became just so obvious to anybody who knew you guys that you have this call on your life, for you and Daisy both. And in fact, I remember when with True, because you were working for a local construction company called True Builders at the time, and there was a lot of jokes with them because like the owner and I are friends, and he would say, man, you just need to hire Danny because he's always like on the phone with some young adult the whole time he's working. Like he's not doing anything for me because he's always doing stuff for you. Because that's clearly what he loves doing. And he's always supposed to be doing something. He's walking outside to take a phone call or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so, and then you just did such a great job for young adults that then it became this moment of like, all right, we need a youth pastor. Yeah. Let's take the next step and actually bring you on full time to be our youth pastor here. And how many years ago was that?
That was 2 years. Actually, 2 weeks ago was 2 years.
Okay, so 2 years ago you became our youth pastor full time. Youth ministry's doing amazing. You and Danny, or you and Daisy are doing a great job there. So now that you are in ministry and you're brand new to this to some regard, being younger, but what has surprised you most about being in ministry?
Yeah, I mean, I think specific youth ministry is fun. I get to hang out with students. They keep me old and young at the same time.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I hope you are enjoying today's show, but let me take a quick time out to remind you to like and subscribe. It helps us get this content out to so many more people, as well as do me a favor and leave a comment. I always enjoy reading your comments every single week. Now, let's jump right back into this great conversation.
It's crazy. I guess one of the surprises is there's so much just details that go, behind the scenes, and a lot of leadership development. So like my job is just to lead people. Yeah. And what I've learned a lot with youth, with ministry in general, is that it's harder to empower people to do the work in the ministry than it is just to do yourself. Yeah. It's so easy to say, you know what, I'm gonna get it done myself. I can just do it. I have the ability to. I know how to do it. But it's a lot harder to say, no, it's not about me. It's not even about growing our church. It's about developing the people of God in the big church, the big C. And that happens by developing God's people. So what I've learned a lot about ministry, it's really just people development. It's practical discipleship of like, hey, I believe in you. I see that calling in you the same way y'all did with me. And I'm going to invest into you. Yeah. And that's draining because people are crazy. People have problems. Sometimes dealing with people is just hard. But it's also the most beautiful thing we get to do. So that's kind of been where I've at these first 2 years of realizing that like we can have the biggest youth event, the most successful night by numbers or whatever it is. But if people are not developed and growing, then what am I really doing? That's kind of what I've really learned. Yep.
Well, you stepped into the deep end too, so it's different than most youth pastors who step in, because you kind of took over a youth group that was already large. It's gotten even bigger now, but I mean, there's just at this location that you're in charge of the youth, there's several hundred youth, and then you got leaders on top of that. Yes. And so you're in a position where you're really pastoring the leaders who pastor the youth, right? Yes. It's kind of Moses principle. Yes. That's kind of where you're at. So you didn't get to like start with a youth group of 15 or 20 or 25 like a lot of people, and you're really pastoring them. You never really had that. So,
I never got that. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So what's one moment in ministry so far? I know you're new to this, but one moment that has marked you, one moment you'll never forget, whether that be spiritual or just silly or whatever. But just a moment, or even two if you have them. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean the silly ones. There's probably one every single day. There's the silly. The students are amazing. Yeah. But I mean, one that really impacted me, and I still think impacts me today, is losing one of our students. We were last year in the middle of a camp week. I think it was a Wednesday, and we lost one of our students to cancer.
Oh, so I'm so sorry.
No.
I thought you meant you lost like a student like disappeared.
That happens a lot too. No,
I'm sorry.
You're good.
I'm so sorry.
I lose students. I lose the van too. I get the van towed. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of silly ones, but one was specifically.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. One specifically was losing a student that we had that passed away to cancer.
Yeah.
I remember getting a phone call that day. We're in the middle of camp, so camp is happening. There's fun. There's games.
Right.
And I hear this news and I'm kind of like, I have to tell our team, I have to tell our students, and I don't want to be the buzzkill, but we're in the middle of camp.
Yeah.
So that to me kind of put me in a position of like how to lead in hard moments.
Oh, yeah.
And not only know how to lead, but how to bleed,
hard.
bleed in hard moments. So I remember that night having to tell almost 200 students that they lost one of their own. And that was super hard. So like even to this day, there's moments I still think about the student Isaiah who passed away, and I have to have conversations still with students to have still emotions about it. So those are one of those super like key markers of like, wow, like that was kind of a wake up call to me of like, ministry's hard. Like ministry's really hard. But yeah, I mean, I can have other stories, the silly ones for days of losing students. There's oh my gosh, have you heard the magic trick story?
No.
One day we're in the middle of a small group night. We're outside because we outgrew the Win Center for small groups. So we had all the boys sitting outside.
Yeah.
And this guy comes up to the church, behind the church, by the way, like in the back. It was weird in the dark. He says, "Hey, I'm here to show your kids a magic trick." And
I have heard this, but go ahead.
who are you? No, you're not, and that was a crazy story. We had to kind of ask him to leave politely, and I was a little concerned because I don't know what kind of magic trick he wanted to show us, but I just knew we're not going to let him to show a magic trick. So yes, I have those stories I have for days, but the Isaiah one definitely impacted me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah.
So we've kind of already answered this, but is there anything else you want to say about it? How did you end up at Arise?
Yeah.
On staff at Arise.
On staff, like I said, I think if I could encourage anybody, not even just for ministry, but life in general, is like just keep saying yes to God. Tonight I'm actually preaching at young adults, and we're going to talk a little bit about Abraham. And it's really cool to see that when God calls Abraham, he just says, "Hey, I need you to leave where you're living in your father's nation where you grew up in."
Right.
He doesn't give him a direction. He doesn't give him a destination, but he gives him a direction. He just says go. And I think a lot of times we want the blueprint. We want the full vision of what it looks like. But what I've learned in my walk with the Lord and how I even came to be on staff at Arise is I just went. This is not to say I have great faith, but it's more to trust that the one who's in control knows exactly what he has for me.
Right.
And I think obedience isn't, what I've learned is that being obedient to the Lord's voice, it's not that it's going to earn you the plan he has for you. He already has a plan for us. It's just going to reposition us to be able to see it correctly. So if I can encourage anybody, ministry, business, life, parenting, whatever it is, just say yes to the Lord and step into it, even when it's unclear, because just know that he has the final blueprint and he's in control of everything. So we just have to take the next step and he can handle the rest. That's kind of what I've learned. So.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you love most about serving at Arise?
Yeah, I mean, I love a lot. I've never had another home church, so I'm a bit biased, right?
You're kind of green to this.
Yeah,
you don't have all the bad experiences you hear from other people.
No, yeah,
so you're kind of
a
little bit sheltered.
I think what I've loved the most about Arise is I know we have all of our values. We value God's presence above everything, but I really love the creativity value that we're willing to try new things. And I love that we're a church that we just try new things and we fail forward. I love that. I think that's just naturally how I've learned in my life. So to be a part of a culture where we're not afraid to fail. Like actually, if you fail, you're probably doing something good. If you fail the right way, right? There's a bad way to fail.
Failure's not an option, it's mandatory.
It's mandatory, right? So I love that because even as a youth pastor, that's how I get to train and disciple my students of like, hey, I don't care if you went on stage and like absolutely butchered it. You tried something new.
Right.
You know what I mean? You tried something new. So I love that value, and it takes away a lot of pressure because now we don't have to be what the students say nowadays, performative. And we live in a performative culture. We have to look the proper, way, and we have to fit the status quo. But no, we have a church where we're okay with being different. And we're okay even if sometimes different doesn't look the best on the outside, but we know behind the scenes we're growing and we're changing. So.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. All right, let's ask this question about who you are. Like if you went to coffee with somebody in our church and you're just hanging out with them, what do you want them to walk away knowing about like who you are?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I'm a goofball. Like that's up front.
In the best kind of way.
In the best kind of way, yeah. And I love it. I love being allowed to be me. Man, I think if I had to describe myself, so the Lord has actually given me words, like specific key words throughout the last 6 years of my life. And there are these three. One, he calls me, I'm a servant. So like I actually, and it's funny because Pastor Tina has us do the,
The working genius.
the working genius. I'm an enabler, so I love helping people accomplish what they need to accomplish.
Yeah.
So I'm a servant. The second word he gave me, this is obviously he gave it to me when he called me into pastoral ministry. I'm a shepherd. I love people. One of my challenges that I've learned is that it's hard to love a lot of people,
Right.
but I can love my people.
Right.
So as long as I have my people, like I'm really gonna give them my best. So if you're in my inner circle, if you're just close to me, I'm always gonna give you my best. And then the third one is actually weird. The Lord told me that I'm a creative. And I was like, I can't draw, my handwriting sucks. What do you mean I'm a creative?
Right.
But no, it just means that I'm somebody who's allowed, who he wants me to think out the box. So I am somebody who is, you could say, unorthodox in my leadership, in my preaching, in just everything I do. It's a bit unorthodox. It doesn't seem as polished, but I actually think that's a strength of mine. Especially I think where the church is going, where this young generation, what they're craving for, they're craving authenticity. They don't want the performance, they don't want the polish, they want the real. So I think that's something the Lord has spoke to me, and so I'm gonna say things that maybe I shouldn't say. I'm gonna do things that seem on the outside like kind of off, but at the end of the day, the Lord has given me the ability, and not only the ability, but the to be different. So that's if I had to explain myself, that's
awesome.
What
That's
I would
awesome. And you are an exceptional leader. I've told you this many times in our one-on-ones that we have and things like that, but I often question, like, where did you learn this? Because you do things at a really high level of leadership for your age. And there's so much about you, I think I've told you this before, that just reminds me of me. Like Ada actually said that many times. She's like, Danny reminds me so much of you when I was young.
The
like
talking
that.
fast and stuff like that.
Talking fast and stuff like that, but just a lot of things. And, I want to make sure that my ceiling becomes your floor. I want to make sure that you go even further and farther and faster than I ever did. So let's make sure we get that done.
Absolutely.
All right, last question. It's a fun one. What is one thing that most people don't know about you that might surprise them?
Oh man, I can't answer the one that y'all asked me when I got hired. Y'all ask everybody the question, like tell me something embarrassing. I can't answer that one on the podcast. Wow, okay. I guess they know this about me, so I can't say that. And I just said at the beginning, but I was born in Tennessee. Like I think I have country in my blood. I don't know where it is, but I have country in my blood somewhere. And it's funny because
you still wear boots every once in a while.
I still wear boots every once in a while, and I'm just trying to tap into that side. But I think it's that most people will see me, they think, okay, the Spanish guy, but like no, I'm actually like I said, I lived in Atlanta and in Tennessee, so like
Ruskin.
I'm from
Ruskin's not exactly some big city.
I'm actually a Southern boy, and I think it just catches people off guard because I'm just Latino. But like, no, I'm actually a Southern boy, and I just kind of grew up in the South, and I like tea. Like I'm just a Southern boy. I'm not maybe as polished as the other Southerners, but I guess that's what I would say about me is that I like the same things like most people from the South would like. So
I love it. I love it. All right, everybody. I hope this has been beneficial to you. You get to know Pastor Danny a little bit. He's one of those, you see him on the stage, transitioning, what have you. But I hope from today you're getting to know him a little bit better. And I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you're back with us next week as we go to interview one of our other pastors.